The Ridge is a 6-bedroom holiday home which we've secured planning permission for. It's based in the Malvern Hills and it's part of that, which is in Worcester. It's part of the National Landscape, and we secured planning permission for that under what's known as paragraph 88. So in this video I want to break down what paragraph 88 is and how we overcame some of the planning challenges. So if we've not met before, my name is Pete Marcos. I'm an architect and I'm the director of Marcos Design Workshop. So basically in a national landscape and just generally in rural sites in the green belt, etc., it can be very challenging to get planning approval. There are a number of routes. People might know about it. There's paragraph 84, which I will be doing a video on in due course, which is a great policy, but it has some challenges. Now, what we had was the client for this project wanted to go through a route which was a little bit easier than paragraph 84. Just as a free gift, in the description I've attached a totally free guide on how we get planning permission in challenging rural sites. So it's totally free. You can download it as a PDF, and it's just a great initial guide to give you ideas on potentially how you can take your site forward, how you can take. So as I mentioned, this client was quite reluctant to go for something like paragraph 84, which is more complicated, and they were interested in paragraph 88 because it allowed them, basically paragraph 88 allows for the development properties which enable rural diversification, sort of business diversification for farms, etc. And they found this to be quite compelling. They liked the idea of developing some kind of holiday home which would create a separate income for the small holding. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to sketch out and draw some of the design decisions that I made with the client and why they were made. I think this is quite important because paragraph 88 is one of the planning policies which is very much dependent on the design being idiosyncratic and designed in such a way that it meets the criteria of the policy. On top of that, the success of a holiday home very much depends on the success of the building. So I'll start drawing some of those things and show you how we came to these conclusions. So what I thought I would start by doing is just showing you some of the design decisions that were made. So as I've kind of mentioned, it was the site is a national landscape. So essentially what you have, and this is very common across the Malvern Hills, you've got a landscape which sort of does this. It's extremely steep. So what we looked to do really was, so obviously you got that as the site, but what we looked to do is have a structure which, if you're at the bottom of the ground, then it reads like a double story, but then from here it would be a double story structure. From here it would read as a single story space. Interesting spaces and interesting use of material. And then this idea of like a balcony framing of views. Again, all of these things are incredibly important from the view of renting a property and making it unique. Then we had this idea of this kind of supported vessel, which would be the vessel space, and that would be on a plinth, but then beneath this plinth, sort of buried slightly in the ground, was a sauna. This plinth would be the sort of master bedroom space. And then under here there were some other spaces, but what this kind of allowed for was the continuation of plantation growing beneath. If I was to continue that section as well, what you'd have was, it would continue down, and then we had a swimming pool in the land. I'll draw this in plan as well, and then to the bottom we had a stream. That was very key in, like obviously something like a swimming pool, it is very effective in creating demand for consumers, creating demand for people who want to stay at the property. If we look at what the place was like as a plan, so again, so it's important to say a plan is essentially a section. So if I was to draw the project briefly as a diagram, had the section, if I just draw that in red, would almost go through there and look down. So what we had was the site was like that. I'll just so that was the hardcore. That's essentially if you were to take a section through that. Then we had this kind of main space, and that was separated, partly built into the landscape, kind of separated into a lounge space with views kind of framed across the Malvern Hills, and then a kitchen here as well. So there was a relationship between the two, and then this is what we'd call almost like the service of the project. You know, every house, every service accommodation, every needs some kind of services to the back of the structure. So that's what those spaces acted as. And then, like I said, you had the lounge here. But then quite critically as well, what we had was, to this side, you had, like I said, that sauna, and then a bathroom to the rear, and then the space was, that vessel space we were discussing was suspended on top. And then on this side, once you get to the first floor, so the first floor, that vessel would essentially, that space would essentially touch the ground floor, have parking there with its own separate garage, and then that a suspended space, we had a lift court which essentially attached the two spaces together. And then this was broken up into about 4 bedrooms, bathrooms, and they all had framed views. This was kind of the main balcony, and then the main framed view looks this way over the Malvern Hills. It frames those views, incredibly important to guests. And then this was that sort of master bedroom, which, you know, views everywhere uninterrupted. So yeah, that's some of the considerations, some of the design considerations which go in to the space. And as I said, what's really important with all of this is, to the degree that the space is unique, the more unique the space is, typically the more you're able to rent the space out for, because it just attracts more demand, it attracts more attention. So if you own any land, you've got a site, maybe with something you've been told previously you can't get planning permission on it, as I mentioned earlier in the video, that's exactly why I've written this guide. It's totally free, it's in the description, you can download it. If you would like to have a conversation, I've also put a link in the description so you can book a free call with me, 20-minute conversation. But hopefully see you in the next video.